What's going on, guys, and how's it hanging in the Horde? My name's Ryujin3838, and that's right, we're finally back with another Overwatch 2 Legendary Skin Ranking. As you can tell from clicking on this video, today we're going to be ranking all of the Legendary skins for Winston here in Overwatch 2. This video will only cover skins out as of this recording, so if you're watching this in the future, there may be a skin not featured on this list. A disclaimer before we start, this list is based entirely on my personal opinion. If I rank a skin in a way you disagree with, feel free to let me know in the comments below how you'd rank these skins yourself. I just make these lists for fun and to celebrate my passion for this game in a unique way. This series is also ultimately put forward by you guys, the viewers both in and out of the Horde, so make sure to leave your suggestions as to who we should rank next in the comments below. The next time we do one of these will be for a support hero, and you can see which characters we've already ranked by checking out the full playlist for this series available on my channel page. If no suggestions are made, I end up picking what character gets ranked, and you may not like who I pick, so please leave your suggestions below. With all that said, let's go ahead and jump into Winston's legendary skins, starting with our epic skin honorable mention. Also, before we get further in this video, I just want to say if you're enjoying the content and you haven't already, I would greatly appreciate it if you would hit that subscribe button for this channel. I want to try to hit 100 subs by the end of 2023. Would love this channel to keep growing, would love 100 subs. Thanks for subbing if you did, let's get on with the video. My pick this time around for the honorable mention skin is going to be the Ocean King from Overwatch 1. This was an exclusive skin you could only earn by participating in the Summer Games event during 2021, and was one of the weekly challenge rewards at that time. I know not everyone has this skin, and most people may not even like it that much, but to be honest, after doing this entire ranking, looking at all of Winston's skins, he just doesn't have a whole lot of skins I like. Most of them give me the same feeling that this skin does. Ocean King is obviously a recolor of Winston's traditional Overwatch 1 look, with his armor here being painted like ocean waves with some scales on them. His face has turned a bit blue, and the only part that's actually that much different from his original design is that his helmet here covering his head has actually been replaced with a crown. It's nothing special, but it's an epic skin, so that's what you've come to expect. Unfortunately, when looking at all of Winston's legendaries, a good portion of them did this exact same thing. A lot of his legendaries either subtly changed the design and still heavily resembled classic Winston, or they would go the opposite route and just put him in human clothes, expecting us to drop our jaws at it in amazement. Ocean King is probably my favorite epic skin, solely because I like the colors here. And none of the other epic skins are ones I'd even consider wearing. I'd maybe wear Ocean King once in a blue moon, but let's just go ahead and show you what I'm talking about with these legendary skins.
Oh, these are pretty cool bananas.
I didn't even remember that this skin existed before I started this ranking. So if that's not an obvious gesture as to where it should be ranked, I honestly don't know what is. In dead last on our ranking here, in 13th place, is the base legendary skin from Overwatch 1, Explorer Winston. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I have not seen this skin used in-game a single time since I started playing Overwatch. For reference, I have been playing since Christmas 2016. I cannot recall a single time I've genuinely seen someone use this skin in a match, across quick play, competitive, the arcade, not even custom games or LTMs. I've seen so little of it that I forgot it existed until I started writing this script and researching skins for this video. The skin is just so bland and lacking in every possible way. The idea itself isn't terrible. A jungle explorer skin for the giant talking gorilla scientist, it's fitting, I guess, but that's the only thing that is. 90% of this outfit here is just tan khakis. There are random stickers here all over this skin. Just like, why is that there at all, even? I only see that being a thing here because the skin's called Explorer. His jump pack is supposed to be a suitcase, I guess? And why are the stickers not all on this and put all over his arms here? Like, if you go out and explore the world, I'm putting the stickers on a suitcase, not my elbow. Also here, if this is supposed to be a suitcase, why does he have a canteen and a bed on his Yes! Why is he wearing abnormally large leather gloves? I hate his mustache. It's so corny looking.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
If you've watched a lot of these skin rankings before, you know exactly why I ranked this skin higher. I'm not going to elaborate any further, by the way. If you can't figure it out, check out the other skin rankings, and I promise you the answer will be obvious. The skin still sucks, by the way.
Hello, how are you? I am under the water. Please help me.
This skin is really just a recolor of Winston's default from Overwatch 1, and the fact that it's classified as a legendary is astounding to me. 11th place on my ranking goes to the other part of Winston's base legendary skins from Overwatch 1, Undersea. Taking a look at this skin, I realized there was something really familiar about it. Almost too familiar. Flipping back and forth between this and default Winston confirmed my suspicion that these skins were indeed almost the exact same. The only differences between this and default Winston are that there are some added on metal pieces to make this skin look more scuba themed. For example, the jump pack here has been replaced with some air tanks instead of his regular old, boosters. His helmet has been replaced with this see-through visor, and there's this little breathing apparatus here added onto the chest plate. Add on the fact that this skin has been changed to an ugly bright orange, and then boom! Totally brand new skin. To be honest, the lack of effort here is just disappointing to me, and having to call this a legendary skin, compared to what some of those other skins look like, just feels wrong. The only reason I even put it above Explorer and Safari is that unlike those two skins, I actually remembered this one exists before I made this ranking. I think that Explorer and Safari are definitely better skins than this, but I didn't want to give them more credit for being skins that no one even remembers having. Or at least I don't remember having. If I could give all three of them last place, I would. Wait, can I actually do that? Let's be real for a moment here. The all-black armor is just so much cooler. 10th place goes to the last Overwatch 1 base legendary skin for Winston, Frogston. I originally had ranked Frogston way higher on this list, but when I made the realization that both it and Undersea were almost identical to classic Winston, I ended up deciding to drag Frogston off from its pedestal and stuck it in the depths where it belongs. Unfortunately, it just looks too much like default Winston to me. I also have nothing left to say about this skin either, because everything I thought was wrong with it, I already said it about Undersea. Moving on. Overwatch, make a legendary for Winston that doesn't just use his default challenge, Impossible Edition. 9th place is taken by Winston's Lunar New Year event legendary from Overwatch 1, Wukong. Now, for you OG players out there, I know that this was one of Winston's first event legendary skins, so of course it's perfectly reasonable to assume that the Overwatch design team was still getting a feel for how they wanted to design their cosmetics. However, I find that excuse laughable after seeing his base legendary skins also choosing to use his default instead of adding something entirely new to his look. Out of all the skins we've seen so far, this one is, I think, the furthest away from default Winston. I mean, it's still very obvious, but it's got the most differences so far. There are Chinese symbols placed all over the skin here, mostly in this chest plate. There's also other smaller designs here, like he's got face paint on, he's got the dragons here on his jump pack. There's at least some effort being made here. I'm also just really confused by this loincloth here, because he's already got on a full bodysuit. What is this thing covering? I will say I do appreciate that they at least changed, the color of his fur, and his skin is a bit lighter, so that the skin also just looks somewhat different from regular Winston. To me, though, this skin is just embodying the design choices used for his epic skins and not so much his legendaries. At the time when it was released, I know for a fact everyone loved it, but after 7 or 8 years, the novelty's just kind of worn off. I gave it a spot above the other ones we've seen so far, partly for that reason, but I can't justify giving it any rank higher than this. And we're still on default Winston. Oh my god. 8th place goes to Winston's Archives event legendary from Overwatch 1, Specimen 28. I remember that I used to wear this skin for the longest time, years and years ago, and I think after doing this ranking, that the reason I did it was honestly because Winston didn't have any better skins at the time. I do hold some nostalgia for it, but now after the years have gone by, I realize just like with Wukong, how fairly mid it is. Sure, he's got on a bunch of these cool little wires and nodes and little gizmos, but he has no sleeves either, and I guess that's like the most unique thing about this skin. It's still Winston's default, and I don't get why so many of his skins are just like adding on the tiniest of things to make it oh so different. To be clear, I also don't have a problem with designers using a base model for things to build upon. I get that that's a common practice, like when I draw stuff, I use references and models for things all the time. What I do have a problem with here is using the base model and just only nitpicking certain things and adding like one or two new things and saying it's an entirely different thing. It doesn't feel like it's building upon something so much as it feels like you're just copying off someone else's homework, changing a couple sentences, and saying you didn't plagiarize. This shouldn't really qualify as a legendary skin. Honestly, I don't feel like any of the other legendaries we've covered so far should also be considered legendaries because they employ the same tactics. It's just disappointing that at least half of Winston's skin catalog is only different enough from his regular fit that it's quote-unquote legendary. The only thing that bumped this up on my list was also a feeling of nostalgia, but I just wish it was as good as I remembered it to be, and I wish it didn't just look like default Winston.
It is Wednesday, my dudes.
I bet Winston's really missing that Overwatch funding now that he's gotta work in some random lab from 9 to 5. 7th place on my ranking goes to his most recent legendary in the Winston wardrobe, the Overwatch 2 Season 6 Battle Pass skin, Lab Technician. Now, I've made it clear that in my opinion, Winston's designs are lacking in quality for the most part, because some change hardly anything about him, or others only give him a new set of human clothes to wear. Similarly to Explorer and Safari, I don't get why we're all supposed to gawk in amazement that the super genius gorilla with a brain more complex than most humans decided to wear pants to the office. His skin is just Winston in what I would assume is his regular work uniform. If this kind of skin had been put on anyone else, everyone would have probably disliked it, but because it's on the monkey, we're all expected to think it's so outlandish and unique. I will say that despite my grievances, this gun here is actually pretty cool. And it's also really the only thing I like about this skin. My favorite part's gotta be all these little blue wires here. I just think that those look really funky and cool. Apart from the gun, some of the bits and pieces on this skin are at least interesting, but there's nothing I'd say I particularly enjoy. For example, he has on like this digital watch here, and he's got like a name tag, I guess, and some cool references to the Horizon Lunar Colony, but as somebody who has both worn a watch, a lab name tag, and a tie, it's not really anything special. He's just wearing things we wear every single day, and that's okay, but it certainly isn't making me pog in excitement.
Never back down, never what?
Never give up.
Never back down, never what?
Never give up.
Let's got it! Let's go!
Finally, an original Winston skin. It's an Overwatch miracle. 6th place goes to the Summer Games event skin from Overwatch 1, Catcher Winston. This skin doesn't change a whole lot from default Winston, but compared to everything else I've looked at so far, this is amazing. I gotta say my favorite part of this skin is his brand new Pit Viper glasses. All these little baseballs around the skin are pretty fun, like he's got one hidden in his jump pack and in his chest plate here. He does have more hidden on his gun, and these ones have a little bit of like jiggle physics too, which I think is just funny. The Tesla cannon here being replaced by a baseball launcher and having some baseballs and baseball bats strapped to the side is also just a really cool design choice, especially with the launcher like coming out of this sports bag here. Overall, this skin is just a whole lot of fun, and like I said in the Cassidy skin ranking, that's what the goal for the Summer Games skins should be, to just be fun. It definitely isn't one of my all-time favorites, but for the first time on this ranking, it's a skin that makes me feel a positive emotion rather than a negative one or nothing at all.
All units, my tummy hurts. I'm gonna need a warm blankie and a cup of hot chalky.
This next skin we're gonna show off in just a second is one that I actually don't own personally, and it's an Overwatch League skin, so I'm gonna have to find some pictures or videos that I can show you guys, but just bear with me for a second on that. Breaking into our top 5 this time around is the Overwatch League exclusive skin, Flying Ace Winston. This skin was made to commemorate the Overwatch League team called the London Spitfire, after they made it to the championship games during one of the earlier Overwatch League seasons. I can't remember if they won that season, and that's why they got the skin, but it's also Overwatch League with its pretty abysmal marketing, so no one really cares anyway. The point is, this skin is pretty good. When the league was first starting out, I was a fan of the Spitfire, mostly for their team colors, so it was only fitting that this skin kept those same colors as well. I love the new jump pack he's got with the fancy looking jet engines over top. The consistency between the team itself and the theme for this skin is kept closely knit, and that's something I just appreciate. I know I didn't like the mustache on Explorer or Safari, but here it fits better with the pilot's cap on, and it reminds me of a British pilot you'd see in old movies. I really enjoy this skin, but unfortunately I don't own it, and the last time it was put up for grabs was over a year ago, during the transition period between Overwatch 1 and Overwatch 2. During that time, they were slowly putting up each of the Overwatch League exclusive legendaries. It's not impossible to think this skin may come back eventually, but the Overwatch League did just conclude, and they aren't going to have any future seasons. I don't know if they're working on making a new kind of Overwatch League now that Microsoft owns Activision Blizzard, so it's kind of up in the air at this point whether these skins will return.
Okay, so the first night is never usually that bad in any of the games, so I'll play through.
Okay, now we're getting to the good shit. 4th place goes to the Halloween Terror legendary skin from Overwatch 1, Werewolf Winston. Originally, I wasn't a huge fan of this outfit, but it's definitely grown on me. After seeing how many skins here just felt too much like classic Winston, this one is the first one that feels like it is truly deserving of the title Legendary. The idea of a werewolf skin for a tank character is already cool by itself, because if you really think about it, werewolves are people who turn into these giant hulking monsters, kinda like Winston does when he ults. By far, one of the best parts on this skin in particular is this glowing green effect present on his eyes and the chest plate here, and also on the eyes of the tree trunks on his jetpack. Speaking of the tree trunk jump pack, this thing is crazy looking. I mean, look at that. That's just awesome. I think this spiked log Tesla cannon with the glowing green lantern here is also really cool and very threatening, which makes sense for a Halloween Terror skin. This skin just goes really above and beyond what most of the Winston skins bring to the table. It's intimidating and cool, it's fun, and best of all, it's really unique. There are so many little things here and there that bring this skin to life, and we've still got 3 more skins to look at too.
Winston, 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 Winston.
Winston's got some ice in his veins now, he looks just so cold here. That was really stupid, I'm sorry. 3rd place goes to the Winter Wonderland outfit from Overwatch 1, Yeti Winston. I don't have too much to say about this skin, and if I'm being honest here, this has been one of the hardest scripts I've ever had to write for one of these skin rankings. It took me a while to figure out what I wanted to say about each and every one of these skins, and it also felt like I was repeating myself a lot. Despite my lack of words or lack of a better description, I still think this skin is very good. I love the skins that manage to turn Winston into something else other than just a gorilla, because many of his other skins just didn't do that. This is by far one of the most recognizable Winston legendaries, and it's a classic in its own right, which was why part of me wanted to give it that recognition by putting it so high up on the ranking. I think my favorite design element present on this skin is how much of his armor was replaced with these ram skulls. First of all, The jetpack ones are huge, and that's so cool. And then of course there's like some smaller ones here on the chest plate too, which just really add to the aesthetic. Taking a look at the gun here, it appears to be an electrical generator that was just strapped onto some wooden planks here. Kind of implies that Yeti Winston like found some hikers and killed them for their electrical generator. This skin is just really cool and is very much a classic. I believe it was also Winston's first ever event legendary, and I can definitely see why so many people love this skin.
You just got coconut mauled. Share this with all your friends to totally coconut maul them.
Not gonna lie, this one was almost number 1 on the ranking. I had many debates between the top 2, but ultimately second place is given to the Season 4 Overwatch 2 Battle Pass skin, Extraterrestrial. This skin is just downright amazing. By far my favorite part of this skin is these little guys on his jump pack, which canonically have a name, by the way. They are called Griblib, and I love him so much. They're squishy and adorable, and they have jiggle physics when you move around. There's also another one on his gun, so every single time you shoot or punch somebody, he does a little dance, and that's just awesome. Aside from his traveling companions, the skin itself is insanely detailed. He's got multiple different color layers and shading for his arms, which start out with these darker scales and transition into this lighter part on the back, and he also has these little, like, thingies on his knuckles that are just interesting and at least provide something unique to his appearance. He also has some new things added to his like character's anatomy, where like his hair and on his beard as well has been replaced with these like tendrils, and that's just really cool. And I also really like all the scars he's got on his arms. It's also very obvious that this version of Winston has escaped the equivalent of space prison with his orange jumpsuit, and he's got these like broken off chains on his wrists, and he's even got one here on the middle of his chest plate. This skin just reminds me of things like the Guardians of the Galaxy, Star Wars, even Star Trek, and you can tell just how much effort was poured into making this skin. Part of me still thinks this could even be a tie with the number 1 skin, and I know I joked about giving a bunch of these skins last place, but that's not why we're here. You've got to play fair and rank them individually, so let's go ahead and see who beat Extraterrestrial for number 1 on the ranking. If you know me or have watched any of the previous skin rankings before, I think you know why this skin won. Taking first place on our ranking today is the Anniversary Event Legendary from Overwatch 1, Gargoyle Winston. Oh my gosh, this skin is so badass, like holy moly, it's badass. First of all, the stone skin all over this is so detailed, like all these different grooves and individual pieces of rocks with cracks all over them. And then on top of that, there being this glowing lava effect peering through the inside. If you take a look here in the middle, kind of where my mouse is, you can see also there's this ember effect where these little bits of fire flow up from these little windows on the armor, which is awesome. Speaking of these little windows, he's got just straight up Gothic style windows into hell itself, and that's just an insane thing to add for the armor. He's got one broken horn with all these pointed ears, and all these little spikes jutting out from the rocks to make up his beard and teeth and his claws down here. It's just so cool. I don't really know why we brought the loincloth back. You're not covering anything else here either because he's just made of stone and doesn't have a butt. The angel wings made out of stone to be like his gargoyle wings or whatever. It's just so cool. And he's even got a little like stone spine. But the best part has got to be this giant cathedral that he has for his gun. Are you kidding me? Look at this thing and tell me it looks ugly, because I don't think you can. But again, Extraterrestrial is an incredibly close second, so let me know how you guys feel in the comments below. I really hope that in the future, Winston gets more skins like Gargoyle here, that truly elevate his design beyond monkey and human clothes. Skins like Gargoyle prove it can be done and that it can be done really well. That's honestly why it deserves number 1 on my ranking. And if this video were to have anything come out of it, Blizzard, make more cool skins for Winston, please. This was the hardest ranking I've ever made because so many of them were just too similar. Yet it was obvious to me that Gargoyle stands out above the rest, so here it gets to sit atop the throne for my favorite Winston legendary. Before I end this video, I just wanted to say if you made it this far that I want to give you a personal shout out for watching the video all the way through. If you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button for me, and while you're at it, make sure you check out some of my other content on this channel. And if you really enjoyed this or any of my other videos, do me a huge favor and hit that sub button, so you don't miss out on any future content. The next time we do one of these rankings will be for a support hero, and if you want to check and see which ones we've already done, there's going to be a playlist on my channel page that will have all of our legendary skin rankings on there for you to check out. That's all from me on this video, so until next time, peace out.